Hey folks, I think we should be on, and let me double check here really quick. Worked. Friday, everybody. Yep, I can see this is working great. Today I'm put myself in the bubble. Reason being is I change around a couple of things here anyways to get the chat going. So if you like, you can chat.b, then you can link your Facebook account, which will allow you to show and display your. But it's not necessary. You should be able to just chat with me here now on the Facebook channels, and I'm going to try this out here. Works like it did. Awesome. At least at Opulent Specialists and at the Facebook page for Opulent. Headcam Nerds, user group, that's all read only, but it's okay. I should at least eventually see some messages here. See it on the top right now. Awesome, good stuff. What do we don't want to do here today? We want to actually look at a simple case here today, basically posterior restoration, and see how we hopefully can go through that quickly. I don't want to rush through things. I want to take the time and explain what I'm doing here and why am I doing things, so that if you're understanding the workflow, the process of it, that you ultimately can fly through it quicker, I hope. So first things first, if you are setting your case up, you should in Exocad up here the work params. If you're using the Samuel Minds software, then that's here on the side somewhere. You can then see the settings button there, params, and you can contact me. This in the search. That up here. You can send me topics. What do you want to chat about? You request that file. I'm now going to tell you a little bit more about. I am using usually my own file, which is going into the Samuel machines. So it's based on the Samuel, the Amangabach work params, but I modified it a little bit. My own settings in there. Get the margin line smaller. Get my cement gap 70 microns, 50 out of the cement gap. Kick in a little earlier instead of 1 millimeter, half a, stuff like that. And that's helpful because it saves you valuable clicks when you're going through the process of designing it. If you're making 10 crowns a day and it saves you, I don't know, 5 clicks, that's 50 clicks already a day. And if you make the math, that's definitely. So reach out if you want, and I will explain you where to place the file, where it needs to go. And in this case, I'm actually going to use the default version from Undercuts because I want to show you a couple of other things which might be relevant for you if you are choosing not to use that Amangabach work params file. The most important is the tool compensation or tool diameter. In Zirconia it should be 1.1, and in temp, PMMA, stuff like that, 1.2, and in Emax or any other type glass ceramic, it should be 1.6, and it's due to the smallest burr going into the cavity, and then it has usually 0.1 on both sides. So a 1.4 millimeter for the glass ceramic orange burr would result in 1.6. In Zirconia, it's a bit smaller. It's more because we're milling larger the crown It doesn't need that much. All right, so what I did is I just basically grabbed here a demo case, okay, and I wanna see what we can come up with here. I want to make sure that I potential messages if they're coming. Tinkering. Let's just go and this is set up as an anatomic crown right now. I have shown this in the past as a cutback version. For posterior, I don't think a lot of people do that. We're just going to get scan data only here. So that we can see. You can also see if I'm bottom, if I'm hitting S, for example, because we're in the model. You can see the keyboard shortcuts or control if I'm doing it. And if I make a left mouse click, you can see like a turquoise ring, right mouse click to say dock. So you hopefully can follow along what I'm doing without me having to explain. Why does this model alignment here come up for me right away? Well, that's something what you can actually turn on or off in the settings somewhere. And I like that. I like to get that out of the way, able to position it and get that done. So let me just pick something here. A plateless model of exercise, and with the control it on the bottom, I'm going to rotate this and position it roughly, and getting roughly here a comparable height. Next. And we could edit our scan data, but there's really no reason to do this here. We can turn our texture on and off here. I'm going to say next. We're going to get to the model. If this was intraoral scan data, I would instantly be on correct draw, and have magnetic turned on. And then if you have that turned on, it kind of, sticks to what the margin line is. And if there's an area where that doesn't work well, then you can hold control and you see how it is turning that temporarily off. But of course, in my case here, I can go to Effect, find a good spot. What I like to do is usually turn just light. Software, it is called Magic Lantern, same difference, same thing. And I will usually go around it at least roughly and tilt it in kind of the same tilt to maybe spot areas where I might be a little. I'm going to usually then go to correct draw, and I might modify things a bit. Trying to not overextend the margin. The detection is usually pretty decent if you have a good stitch on there. This tool is really more helpful if you have trouble reading the line already. And okay, enough of that. Let's turn this off again, and let's go to the step here. Insertion direction. It is helpful here. Shift and S will make your scan data opaque or semi-transparent, and of course we want to avoid anything like red here. You already know that. There's little bits here, that's fine, and we want to take a look that here we basically get a overhang, which is the case, but we don't have it. We don't want to have it as bad that it would be yellow, and we want to have the least amount of red what we get here, with still a good path of insertion looking kind of at both of the contact points here. So I think this is good. I will say set current view as insertion axis. And a little tip, because it only takes a second, just say here add custom view at this stage, because now your path of insertion, if I click here again, locked into this view, and it is very helpful to at some points come back to this view for a number of reasons. But in particular, if you have a problem, okay, already he's saying that I love it. I find this very helpful if you can come back to the path of insertion view and then maybe fix a line which was extended in an area or something like that. So maybe get used to that. This is a single crown, so there's nothing really more here to do at the path of insertion direction. And once we say next and we get to our crown bottoms, you can instantly see why I've modified my file. Those are the default settings. Cement gap is okay with 80. I prefer 60, but okay, that's fine. I also have a small axial and radial, or I actually should say a radial and an axial top. The axial top is actually here in this particular case. So I usually have another 0.02, so 20 axial top, and radial I have another 20 microns, 0.0 radial, together with 70 micron. For me, that fits like a glove without any adjustments required, usually in the side of the crown. But what you instantly see here is this green where there's no cement gap should be sitting here at the very bottom and should stop basically here, because it goes into the before it goes into the parallel wall. So what we're going to do here, or have to do, is on select zones by distance from margin, we're going to have to dial in 0.5. And that's what I'm trying to say. This is one click here, but I could possibly forget. So it's not, I already have that in the default settings basically. And all these values, what I just described here, what I'm using, they're in my file, and you're the border setting here. This is a pretty safe border setting. 0.2 on the horizontal is fairly thick. You can, if you're watching your tool abrasion a bit, you can get away with less. I'm usually, show you here, if I just click in there, my old values are instantly up. So I usually have 0.1, 0.15 instead of 0.3, 60, I usually use 70, and then the rest I'm not using. We instantly can see there's a much smaller margin here, which yes, you need good sharp tools, you need a good quality zirconia, but if you're using the Armangerbach zirconia and Armangerbach mill, those settings work to the point where your tools maybe start having minor little nicks on margins, then well, you got to watch it a little. Maybe swap out your tool a little faster than if you were using the standard settings. But in my opinion, it's worth it. You may be swapping the burr out a little quicker to prevent any chipping here, but that is intraoral files, maybe even modelless, something like that. You don't want to sit there and trim the margins back by hand. Nobody wants to do that. So the other thing here, undercuts, in the Selma version, this option is not available, although there is a little patch what I made at some point where you can bring this value back. Why is that relevant? Maybe to swap the value from zirconia into Emacs, let's say. So let's say you are following your RX and you're designing for Armangerbach Gen X and realizing, you know what, that is a really short prep, and I have plenty of room in the occlusion, so I can make that material thick enough there. I think I need to go to an Emacs here instead of a zirconia so that everything can be blended instead of cemented. So you maybe want to keep the design what you used and not having to redesign everything from scratch. So you could load your scene file, delete the merge parts, come back in here and change this from what Undercuts default would be 1.1 into now point. Then that would be prepared. This file actually only goes to 5, but then it would be prepared for you to in a blue block. Okay, this is zirconia we're pretending, so 1, and the rest I'm usually not touching, but I'm going to show you really quick here what this this protected zone, yeah, margin line here. There's a value of 0.1 in there. I like having a small value in there, maybe 0.3. If you are trying to take advantage of the HD strategy on margin lines in a serial match 2, if you don't put a value in there, if your designs are on 0, all of them, and you end up putting HD strategy, margin line HD, to good use on your sample, you actually only just wait. So those two have to be together if you only use the HD strategies.